So you're wondering, are you good enough to become a professional illustrator? Let's find out. Hello everyone! Welcome to Our Business with Ness. I'm Ness and I'm a professional illustrator. So today we're talking about when can you get started as an illustrator. This is actually quite a complicated question. So let's just jump right into it. Please do me a favor and do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell, and let's just start. So first of all, the main reason that is so hard to answer this question, if you're good enough or no, is because quality of art is very subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say, and every taste exists on this planet. So even just looking at your art, I can't always tell, is this just not to my taste or is it bad art? It's not as easy to say as one might think. Plenty of times I have seen products in store with art on them that I'm like, I don't like it. Like, why is this even for sale? And yet plenty of people buy it and like it. So it is up to professional standard. Has that happened to you before? Have you ever seen a product in store where you're like, that doesn't look good? So although you can look at your artwork objectively, and I'm sure you have strengths and you have weaknesses, and there's probably areas where you know that you can improve, it's still very hard to make a snap judgment, especially just seeing one or two pieces of art about whether or not you're good enough to become a professional. The level of complexity of your art also doesn't really help that much. Whether your style is super detailed, hyper realistic, and overly rendered, or super loose and sketchy, both styles and everything in between has its place. And both could be the perfect fit depending on what project we're talking about. A great example of this is the graphic novel The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. As you can see, this is very sketchy. It might even look sloppy or unfinished to some, but it's perfect for this project. And this book is a bestseller and I think a masterpiece. It's also good to know that, like with every job, there are different skill levels even within the realm of professional artists. Not every single pro illustrator is a genius level Norman Rockwell type. I'm certainly not. But there are entry level jobs and there are artists that are hired for these jobs that don't have to be genius level in order to do a professional quality job. Like with any kind of work, we get better as we go. You're certainly not expected to be the best artist in the world on your first day of the job or just to even get your foot in the door and get started. I'm several years in now and I'm much better than I was when I first started. And when I look at the stuff that I created professionally several years ago, I'm like, ooh, someone hired me for this? Like, it wasn't that good. And that's normal. So even if you feel that there's still stuff that you need to improve, you might still already be at professional level. So if quality or complexity or even skill level can't really tell you whether you're good enough or not to start your illustration career, then what can? What do you need to be a professional illustrator? This is something that I've thought about for years, honestly, and I think I've identified 5 things that no matter what kind of illustrator you want to be, those 5 things you need in order to be able to start your illustration career. But now, if you don't have every single one of these, don't despair because those are all things that you can learn. So with that being said, let's jump into the 5 things that you need. Number 1 is being able to draw everything that you need. So here's the thing, you don't have to be able to draw every single thing in existence in order to be able to be a professional illustrator. I suck at drawing robots and cars. I'm not good at these things, but I'm fine. You just need to be able to draw anything that you might get asked to draw by a client, and that will depend what market you're in. Every single illustration market requires different things, and that's why it's important to pick your market before you get started so you can make sure that you're able to hit every single one of the skills that you need in that market. So for instance, if you want to illustrate picture books, then you'll have to be very good at illustrating characters, particularly children characters. That means that you'll need anatomy and character design skills. You'll also need to be able to draw backgrounds and locations, so perspective might be a skill that you need too. But if you want to do something like surface design, for instance, which is illustrations or patterns for things like fabrics or greeting cards, well, you don't necessarily need backgrounds or anatomy for that. You can probably do just fine just knowing how to draw decorative elements such as flowers, Christmas decorations, birthday cakes, etc. But on the other hand, you probably need to know a little bit of hand lettering, and you'll need to know how to put together a repeat pattern tile. So there's no universal list of skills that you need to be an illustrator. It really depends on your market. So the best thing that you could do starting out is to pick a market right away, because then you can start catering your skills and learning depending on what you'll need in that market instead of learning every single drawing skills under the sun. This will help you streamline the process a little bit and learn what you need quicker instead of just being so general about it. And once you have a good knowledge of all the things that you can be asked for by a client in your market, then you have this skill cleared. And you can go to skill number 2, drawing consistently. If you want to do art professionally, consistency is really important. You'll be showing samples in your portfolio of what you can do, and you have to be able to consistently match those samples when you're hired by a client. This is what they'll be expecting, and you have to be able to deliver that. You'll also often be asked to draw multiple images for the same project. So if there are characters that are recurring from one illustration to the next, or backgrounds that are recurring, or even props and things like that, they need to look the same from one illustration to the next, even if they're drawn in different angles or different lighting. All of this is consistency, and this is an extremely important skill whenever you're doing anything professionally. You need to be able to deliver the same service at the same quality to all of your clients. I remember several years back starting out that I wasn't always sure how to get a specific result. Sometimes I was creating something kind of by accident and not sure how to replicate it. If that's your case, you need to hone down your work process a little bit more until you're able to replicate that continually. Because when you're hired professionally, you can't leave it up to chance. So how do we do that? How do we attain consistency? You have to develop a work process that's repeatable, that you know you can do over and over again, and it will give you the same results. So the same media, the same drawing technique, something that you can really hone and practice until it's the same every time. And when it comes to drawing things consistently from one image to the next, this is all about observation. The smallest change in the proportions, in the volumes, in the colors can make it look not like how it's supposed to look. So observation and attention to detail is where it's at. Especially I find when it comes to facial expression, things like that, even if the eyes are slightly bigger or the nose is slightly different, the character looks like a completely different character. So those things are super important. Skill number 3 is composition. Because no matter what kind of art you're doing, whether that's a picture book spread or magazine illustration, a poster, a scientific illustration, one thing that they all have in common is that there will be a composition, and you want to have a layout that's all nice and harmonized and balanced. But composition isn't just that. When done really well, you can direct the eye of your viewer within the image so that they see what you want to see and in the order that you want. You can even highlight certain elements to make sure that the viewer doesn't miss what's really important. So good composition is practically mind control, is what I'm saying. But it's one of those things that you really have to learn from a reputable source. You can't just really get better at it just by practicing. You have to learn the principles. Thankfully, this information is available in lots of places like books, tutorials, online videos. I even have a full lesson on composition in my online class, the Picture Book Portfolio Prompts 10-day course. If you're interested, I'll leave the link to that in the description below. Composition is not that complicated. Once you learn it, it's really going to upgrade your entire skill set. Skill number 4 is to develop your own signature style. So this one is a little bit controversial. Is a signature style really necessary to become a professional illustrator? Some people argue yes, some people argue no, and some people are willing to throw a punch in defense of their point of view. There are a lot of artists who really like to do a lot of different styles and they don't want to choose, and they ardently do not want to settle for just one style. And I understand that. But in my opinion, I have to say, I think a signature style is really important to become a professional illustrator. I've been professional since 2015, and even just within that time, I've seen every single year the market becomes more and more competitive, more saturated. What a signature style helps you do is stand out. It helps you be memorable. The clients will associate your name with your style. Right now, I think it would be nearly impossible to get started in illustration and make a full-time living without having your own unique style. And I know that can be a little bit counterintuitive. We tend to think that if I can do multiple styles, it should be an asset, right? I'm a jack of all trades. I can take jobs in all those different styles, so I'll have more jobs. Unfortunately, in practice, it doesn't really work like that. I have another video on this channel where I explain more in detail why having a signature style is so important. So if you want to learn a little bit more, I'll leave a link to that right here on the screen and in the description below. But to summarize very quickly, clients remember you by your style. It's your flavor, it's your voice as an artist. It's what you will be associated with, right? You want to think, oh, Picasso is the one that does this, and Norman Rockwell is the one that does this. You have a picture in your mind when you talk about these artists, and you want clients to have a picture in your mind when your name comes up too. If you can draw any style, you're basically erasing anything about you that's unique and memorable. You make it so that there's no reason to hire you over someone else. You'll also be showcasing so many different things in your portfolio that you won't seem like an expert in any one thing. And you'll be completely missing showcasing one of the most important skills, consistency, which we've already discussed. I think is one of the things that's absolutely necessary to be a professional illustrator. And it's definitely something that clients will be looking for in your portfolio. If you have 20 different styles in your portfolio, you're not showing that consistency. Clients would like to know what they are actually going to get if they hire you. And if you show so many different things, they don't know what they'll get. So from my own experience and from what I've heard from every other professional artist, I do believe that having a signature style makes it a lot easier to become a professional artist. And since it's already so difficult to become a professional artist nowadays in this competitive climate, I really don't believe that you need to turn on hard mode on top of that. It's difficult enough. And finally, skill number 5, the last thing I believe that you absolutely need before you can go professional is presenting your artwork professionally. Yes, presentation. That's really important. You could have the loveliest artwork in the world, but if you can't give your client a nice, clean, professional scan, your artwork is unusable for them. Contrary to popular belief, it's not necessary to know how to draw digitally in order to be a professional artist. This is something that I hear all the time. Oh, I really want to go into picture books, but I need to learn how to draw digitally first. You actually don't need that. There are lots of pros who work with traditional media. Watercolor, coloring pencil, gouache, inks, pastels, anything you can think of. What's important is to have digital skills, which is not exactly the same thing. It means that you're able to digitize your artwork and that you're able to deliver to your client a high resolution, clean, professional digital file. Now, when it comes to exactly what size, exactly what format you'll need to deliver, that depends from client to client, from project to project. There's no standard really, it always depends. But what's important is to know how to create these different file formats that they might ask you. So if you work traditionally, it's important to be able to take a high quality scan of your artwork or a high quality photo. Then it's important to be able to crop it, clean any little imperfections that there might be, adjust the colors, the lighting. If you're a digital artist, you have a few less steps, but it means that you have to be able to work in a big enough canvas so that your file is printable on multiple surfaces. Often it means keeping some elements at least on separate layers so that it's easier to make changes or tweaks to your file, and knowing how to resize the file and export it in different formats that your client might need. Even when it comes to your marketing, presentation is super important. If your Instagram is full of blurry, low quality photos of your art and super bad lighting that look yellow, it just doesn't look professional. If your website looks like a mess, like a 10-year-old put it together, it doesn't look professional. It doesn't look serious. So those things are really important. Thankfully, it's very easy to learn. This information is everywhere on the internet. I even have a video myself how to format a book spread. So if you do picture books and you're wondering that, I'll leave the link to that in the description. If you're a traditional artist, there's lots of resources to help you find the perfect scanner. I have an Epson scanner and I have a review of it on my channel. I'll leave the link to that in the description too. I think it's a really nice scanner. I like it a lot. And of course, there's lots of tutorials for how you can clean your scans and all of that stuff. So there we are. These are the 5 things that you absolutely need before you're good enough to become a professional illustrator. If you have those 5 things, then I believe you're all good to go. So if that's you, yay! Congratulations, you're ready to start. And I have something that might help you. I have a free guide called 7 Surprising Ways to Find Illustration Clients. So I will leave the link to that in the description below. It's completely free and has lots of information on how you can get started getting those clients. But that's it for me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help our small channel grow. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.